Hello guys, welcome to the video. So in this one, I want to do a bit of introduction to Unity. I want to explain some things. Before we begin though, I just want to say that I know there is lots of things that you see on the screen, especially if this is your first project, and I know it all can be confusing, but don't worry about it. And if something feels like too much, just ignore it for now, because we're gonna use most of the things you see on the screen, and when the time comes when we're gonna use it, I'm gonna explain what it does. So just focus on the main things, on the things I'm telling you, and other things kind of like keep them on the background until we need them. All right, so what do we have here? We have a bunch of main windows that we're gonna use a lot, and we're gonna start probably with the project window over here. So project window has a navigation bar over here where we can see things like folders we created in the asset folder over here. And asset folder contains all of the things we need for video game we're creating. Later on, we're gonna add models over here, like 3D graphics, scripts, everything going to be here. Actually, as example, let's create a script over here. We're gonna click Create, C# script. And if you're using a later Unity version from 2023, I believe it's saying something like create mono behavior, which is basically the same, okay? So we're gonna create one, and I'm gonna name it as player. Okay, so now we have scene folder and a player folder in the asset folder. And this folder will have everything we need for the project we're creating. Then we have a hierarchy and scene window. And these two are connected. Hierarchy window, which contains all of the things we have in the scene at the moment. Right now in the scene, we have only main camera and directional light, and only that. And just for the sake of explanation, let me click right button, and we're gonna do 3D object, cube. Now we've got another object in the hierarchy, and we also can see that this object is in the scene right now. So hierarchy allows you to control everything you have in the game right now, everything you have in the current scene. And it is different from the asset folder over here, because this is what you have available, and this over here is only what you're using right now in the current scene. And scene view over here allows you to see things as a developer. This what we use to control the scene, this what we use to control and change things, place them in different places, maybe move them, rotate them, and so on. There is also a game window, and this is sort of like a final result. This is what player sees when he's going to play the game. If you go to play mode by clicking this button over here, this will be basically like running the game. But as of now, nothing is happening. As you can see, if I click something or press some buttons, nothing is working, right? Because we did not create anything yet. In the scene, however, you can take the object and you can rotate it or move it around. We're gonna talk about movement and rotation a bit later on. As of now, let's just focus on windows. So once again, asset folder in a project window has everything we need and everything we use for the game, for creation. Hierarchy has everything we use in the current scene. Allows us to select object and control it. Scene window allows you to see things as a developer, and game window allows you to see things as a player. Okay, there is also inspector window. It is pretty important, and we use it to see different properties of different game objects. What you see here is called components. So inspector shows you components of different game objects. As of now, we have transform, mesh filter, mesh renderer, and box collider. Different components do different things, and I'm going to talk about components later on. As of now, I just want to say that these like a properties of a game object. If you have box collider on it, it's going to give you a shape for that box. If you add another component, for example, rigid body, then this object will become heavy and it's going to fall. Just like that. You see? So this is what you can do with game objects by adding different components. As of now, let's not worry about that, and let's just say that inspector is basically like a close look on the game object. And if you want to change anything, you do it here in the inspector. Okay, so this pretty much the most important windows you need to know about. There are some more, and once we need them, I'm going to talk about them more, and we're going to use these a lot. So don't worry if you don't understand something. With practice, it will be much better, I'm telling you. If now it feels a bit confusing, later on it's just going to be a comfortable tool that you use to make video games. Simple as that. Now, before we go any further, I also want to talk about tools we have over here in this corner. They do different things, and we use most of them, and we have a hotkeys for them. If I click right button over here, I can switch to horizontal, and I can switch between these tools by pressing Q, W, E, R, T. And if I press them, you're gonna see hotkeys on the screen. I'm gonna have them all the time, so don't worry. You will not miss things that I'm pressing, okay? It's always available on the screen. Now, the Q1 is a hand tool, and you use it to move around the scene, just like you do in Photoshop or Premiere Pro. If you used any of those, you should be pretty familiar with this one. Personally, me, I never use it. If I want to move around the scene, I use my wheel button on the mouse. You can hold it and move around as well. And I feel like this is a bit more convenient, right? Then there is a W, which is a move tool, and we use it to move object around. You can move it by axis, X, Z, Y, or there is a little square near the shape that you can hold to move object on two axes. If I take this one, then I can move object on the X and Z. If I take this one, I can move object on the Y and X, and so on for the Y and Z. All right, so this makes it a bit easier if you want to navigate around. Now let me press twice on the cube. This will help me to focus on the object. It will be a bit closer. And I'm gonna zoom out a bit by using wheel on the mouse. And now we're gonna click rotation tool, which can be selected by E key on the keyboard. Now this allows me to rotate the object as I want to. We're gonna use it sometimes just to see objects from different sides, maybe rotate it to make it look a bit differently in the scene. So yeah, this one can be pretty useful, and it is used a lot. Now let me press Ctrl Z, or better, we can go here and click reset. So it will be as it was by default. Now there is a scale tool, which allows you to scale the object, but personally me, I never use this. Usually, if you need to scale up or scale down the object, you do it over here in the transform component, because if you want to change the scale, usually you want to have some precise values. For example, I want to make it 50% bigger, then I would do 1.5 here, just like that. Okay, there is a T tool, and mostly it is used for UI, but also you can use it for 3D objects. If you want to make it bigger somehow, you can. Well, and there is this transform tool, which has all of the tools combined together. You can rotate, move, and so on, but I never use it as well. Mostly if you want to do something precise, you do something precise. That's what I think. Okay, so these are the tools that we use. These are the windows that we're going to use, and there are much more to that, but as of now, let's not worry about that. Let's just focus on something simple. And we're gonna go to the next video right now. I'm gonna talk about components a little bit. Okay, I'll see you there.